Unit 1 Chemistry, Chapter 7, the pH Scale, Part 1. In the previous lesson, we were introduced to two chemicals called acids and bases. So in this lesson, what we're going to do is how to determine whether a substance is a strong acid, a strong base, a weak acid, a weak base, or if a substance is neither an acid or base and it is neutral. So the way to tell is by using something called the pH scale. So the pH scale is a measure of the power of hydrogen. So the more hydrogen a substance has, the more acidic that it is. So the pH scale is a numerical scale ranging from 0 to 14. So here's a diagram of the pH scale right here. So the greater the concentration of hydrogen ions there is, the more acidic the solution is. The greater the concentration of hydroxide ions, the more basic a solution is. So I'm going to divide this pH scale into three areas. So if you circle the number 7, that is called your neutral area. Anything above 7, so from 8 to 14, that area is the basic side, and then 0 on this side up is the acidic side. So the closer the number is to 7, the weaker the acid and the bases. The further away the number is from the number 7, it's increasing in strength. So for example, something with a pH of 0 or 1 or 2, those would be considered strong acids. Numbers on the other side, like 12, 13, and 14, those are away from 7, so those would be strong bases. So over here we'd have strong, and then over here we have strong as well, and then closer to 7 we have weak. If something has a pH of 7, then we say that it's neutral, and the reason why it's neutral is because the hydrogen ions and the hydroxide ions are balanced. Now, pH can be used for growing plants, so pH in soil. Farmers can manipulate the pH of their soil to better suit the crop that they are growing. So for example, corn and potatoes, so if that is being grown on a farm, then a more acidic soil would be more beneficial. If a farmer is concentrating on legumes, so things like beans and peas, beans and peas are examples of plants that grow better in a more basic soil. So how does this farmer make a soil more acidic or more basic? Well, they can do this by adding chemicals to the soil. So if a farmer would like to make a more acidic soil, the corresponding chemical that would be added to the soil is called aluminum sulfate. So you'll notice that the farmer's not actually dumping acid onto the soil because that would not allow the plants to grow. But what they do is they put a chemical like aluminum sulfate, which will eventually react with water, which can form a more acidic environment. Same goes for a base. If a farmer wants to make a base, they're not going to just apply a liquid base to the soil because that would be very detrimental to the plants. So what they do is they add a chemical like calcium oxide. So calcium oxide is another word for it is lime, not like lime like the fruit. And then the calcium oxide, when water is added to it, it will form the base calcium hydroxide, which will allow the base to be added to the soil more slowly.